Hello, this is Evan Weinberg. Today I'm going to be interviewing my grandfather, Cy Weinberg. Today is March 1st, 2025 in Florida. Okay, this is the first question. Let's get started. What were some of your first memories as a child?
Hi there. Well, if you want to know something about me, I was like, things that I can remember, I was down to about 6 years old when we had a farm, and I used to work on the farm. I used to bring the cows in from on into the barn and put them on stalls. And then I would have to go to school, and the school was about a mile away, and I used to have to walk. And every once in a while, I would stop, and they had not cigarettes, the thing from the corn, the
Pipes?
pipes. We make a pipe out of it, and we light it and then throw it away. But we never smoked anything. But it was a good experience that I can remember. It was a long time ago.
How were you at picking corn? Did you drive the tractors?
How was I at picking corn? I was the best picker in my area of picking sweet corn, and I was probably 18 years old at that time, and I used to pick corn with my brothers and my people that we hired. But I used to be the best. I used to pick 2,000 ears a day, I think. Yeah, I can't remember. There's so many. But I was the best picker of all. And, okay. We driving the tractor. I was driving the tractor when I was about 6 years old. And they used to pick corn. When they pick corn, they put it in the wagon that I was pulling. And, you know, at 6 years old, you want to drive. You can't drive on a road. So we used to drive in between the corn. And I used to love it. And then I had to, that was early in the morning, but then I had to go to school. So that's what I did. The school was only half a mile away. So.
What was school like when you were a kid, and did you play any sports?
Well, school was like something that I wasn't crazy about, because I liked to work. I was a hard worker, and on a farm you're always working, always doing something. And I was driving a tractor when I was 6 years old. Then I used to go to. I went to the first school we went to was a little school that had eight classes, and it was only one room, and that's the one I took you to show it to you. And then I moved from there. I moved to a big school, which had maybe another 30 kids in the school. And then after that, I moved to New Lebanon, and we were there for about 6 months. And then from New Lebanon, I went to Berlin High School. And the whole high school was only 250 people, kids. And I finished that, and it was good. We had a great time. But I was not a good pupil, because I always liked to work on the farm. And when I got done, we always had a good time though in school. I played basketball, and I was in fact one year playing basketball, we won the tournaments. we won. We played 20 games, and out of the 20 games, we won 19, and that was very, very good. And that was some of the things I remember. I can't remember them all.
Did you know any of your grandparents, and what were your parents like?
My mother was my best friend because we lived together a long time, even with the other brothers and all. We lived on a farm, and we had nothing else to do but play cards. We used to play cards with my mother, and then when my father had passed away, and he gave the farm to somebody else, but we all stayed on the farm and helped them. And my mother moved to Albany, and I used to see her all the time because I lived there too with my wife, and we always had a great time. And then she died. I think she lived in Albany about 10 years, and then she passed away. And we had a great time, even in Albany. She was very good. And your father remembers her, I think. And we used to go see her all the time. My grandparents actually, I lived with them on a farm. I lived with them with my grandmother. She was on a farm. Probably 10 years. My grandfather, he passed away. I was about 13 years old, and that's about it. I didn't know too much about them because they were a little older, and I didn't talk too much about them. That's about.
What were your friends like growing up?
Our friends, they were. We always had. I always had good friends, and I always had friends that didn't care too much for me because I was a farmer, and I used to leave them if we're playing or whatever we were doing to work on the farm. So we were not very good. Well, if you call it friends, we were not very good, but we always had a good time. And when I was working on the farm, we always made time with them.
What were your brothers and sisters like?
My brothers were like, they were always good to me because, don't forget, I was always the youngest one. I have a brother, Jack. He was the oldest. I had brother Sal, who didn't work on the farm much. He lived in New York, but he used to come to work in the summertime. He would come on a weekend. And I had my brother Abe, which was a little older than me. And I also have a sister, which is still alive. My sister lives about 70 miles from here. Her name was Jeanette. And I see her every once in a while. We go there, or we come here. They come here, and we always had a good time. We always worked together. I worked together with my picking corn, but I was the fastest. Nobody picked the corn any faster than I did. But when I say faster, I may be a foot out when my brother came a foot behind me. So you really couldn't say I was the best. We were very good picking corn. And we used to have a good time, but it was hard work. Okay, after we picked the corn, we'd have to load it on the trucks. And then we get it loaded on a truck, and then sometimes we would have to drive the truck to New York, and because there was nobody to drive, but we were okay. We did a good job. I know my father at that time would stay on the market. He'd sleep in a room there, and he would sell the corn, and I would help unload, and we had a very hard work but good time.
Why did you leave the farm and where did you go?
Okay, I left the farm because I was getting. My father had died, and my mother was on the farm, and then she moved to Albany, where we lived, and I used to go on weekends to help them on the farm, but my mother gave the farm to this person that took over, and like I said, I used to go out on a weekend sometimes and just help them out. And
What was your first job after you left the farm?
when I left the farm, I was 18 years old. I met this fellow who became a friend of mine, and we decided that we were going to pick up milk cans from the farmers. So I would go in at night, and he would go in the morning to pick them up, and then we'd go to Springfield, Mass. to unload. And these were 350 big milk cans that we used to pick up. And I'll tell you, we were strong. And I did that till I was 2 years. I did that, and I came down a hill, and I almost ran the truck off the hill, and I decided I want to live. I don't want to die in a truck. So we decided that I'm going to sell, and I sold it to my partner, and that was it. And then I went home, and I went into my brother business in plastic, and we did that for a long time.
How did you meet Grammy?
I met Grammy with my sister. she went excuse me. She went to school in Albany in the college with my sister, and I used to go into Albany to take her out, go to a movie or something, and that's how I met her, and that's how I went with her for about 6 years, and then we decided to get married.
Who are your best friends in Albany?
I had a lot of friends in Albany, but my best friends I had was, he lived in Nassau, New York, and I lived in Albany, and we used to meet each other. His name is Sid Roth, and we went together for many years, and he passed away a few years ago, and I was friendly with his wife and his children, and we always had a great time. And I used to go from there, work, and then on the weekends we used to maybe go to a movie or play cards, and we used to like that. And that's about it. In Albany, I had a lot of friends. We were in the Jewish circle. Bob Kahn was one of them, and his wife became very good friends with my wife, and with them we met a lot of people. I can't remember the names of all of them, but we had a great time together, everybody, and I worked hard.
Can you tell me a little bit about your kids?
Okay, when we got married, we lived in Loudonville, we had our first child. His name was Eddie, and then we had another one a couple of years later, and his name was Jay. And then we had another one. His name was David. And then from then on, we had children, grandchildren. From then on, we had the greatest time, and Eddie was our first child, and we had a great time with him, and even with Jay and David. We really did have a great time until David passed. I'm sorry. It's just very hard on me. So, I can't go anymore.
If you could meet your 20-year-old self, what would you tell him?
Myself, I would tell myself to be good with yourself, with your parents, and your children, and your friends. You should have good friends, and you will. They will be good to you, and you good to them, and everything would be nice.
What's the best place you visited?
Well, we liked Puerto Rico for one reason. For one reason we liked it. One reason we didn't like it. We didn't like it because we went there on Christmas, and everything was closed. But there was one thing we did. We went there, and it went to a horse race. And with horse racing, you have like eight horses in a row. Well, the one horse that I picked, ran into the gate and went up in the air, and we had a great time. I think we lost $1, I think, but it was very funny, and we had a good time there. One thing was nice. It was able to go swimming, and it was warm, so we really had a good time there.
What are some famous people or interesting people you've met?
Going back to the farm, we had a family that lived a little ways from us, about 2 or 3 houses, and one of them was it's hard for me to remember. Living on a farm, we had a very famous boy. His name was Elroy Face, and he was a pitcher for the I can't remember now whether it was the Yankees or Boston Pirates. Anyway, he used to be a good friend of mine, and he had 2 brothers, and they built a farm for my father on the farm, and we had a good time together, because when we went to the ball games, I would go in, and they say, "Did you buy a ticket?" One of them would say, I would say, "No, yeah, I bought a ticket." "What did you do that for?" "Elroy's a friend of yours." And we had a good time, and then there was quite a few of the Yankees that we met. I can't remember their names, but they're all. We really had a good time with them. And then we had another good friend. His name is Jerry Lewis, and Jerry Lewis was a good friend of my brother. And we used to go out dancing, and I would drive the car, and we went one time, and Jerry Lewis, he drove the car, and he ran into the water, and we used to have a great time. It's hard to say what we did because we did a lot of things, and but we really enjoyed them. My brother enjoyed them, I enjoyed them, and we say we just had a great times.
You've lived a long time so far. What do you do to keep your mind sharp?
You want to know what I do to keep my my mind sharp, huh? Well, I play poker twice a week, which you have to be a little sharp. I've been a pretty good winner, and what else we need? Keep my there's a lot of shows that we have, at least 3 shows every week, and they have movies here. Movies will keep your mind if you go to the right movies, and we have a lot of different shows we go to, mind shows, and that's about it that I know of, that I remember.
Thank you, Grampy, for doing this. I've really had a great time with you.